Cinderella. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Cinderella. Her mother got sick and passed away. Later, his father married another woman with 2 daughters. They were very happy living with each other, her stepmother and her father. But when he left and never returned, Cinderella was forced to give up her clothes for raggy clothes instead. You will sleep in the attic, and you will only eat our scraps. She was so shocked, but instead she had a normal life in the attic. She gave food and served her and her stepmother and her stepsisters. Cinderella, no time for you to eat here now. Go to the attic. She left sorrowfully. She was so sad. There were some birds and some mice to accompany her. Later, when she was done, she brought in the scraps. Later, she gave it to the mice and the birds to eat. You had this. You need it more than I do. Later, there was a message about a ball. Anybody beautiful will marry the prince. Ball gala tonight, celebrating the prince's birthday. Then all of her stepsisters got ready, and Cinderella needed to dress them. She continued to dress. Hey Cinderella, dress me instead. The 2 sisters were dressed beautifully. Later, Cinderella was forced to stay inside the house and never go out. She asked her stepmother, "Stepmother, can I go to the ball?" Her mother said no, and she told her that she could go if she separated the 2 beans piles into 2 baskets. Then they began to help, and then it was completely full. Cinderella happily went to stepmother and said, "Stepmother, I've neatly arranged the 2 piles of beans that you told me to." "Ha! Impossible! But now you will still stay inside here if you have a nice outfit to stay." Cinderella later got the help of the bird and the mice for her beautiful dress. She later got a lovely dress. She was so happy and surprised when they gave it to Cinderella. So Cinderella was so overjoyed by the dress, so she could go to the ball. Later, her sister just cracked up and pulled and cracked and shacked up all of her lovely clothes. Then, a fairy godmother built her a carriage and horses and a chairman to get her to the ball. But what about her? She doesn't have any nice clothes due to the reason that this is what happened. She was magically transformed with loveliness from the grandmother. Oh, so lovely. Then Cinderella was ready and steady for the ball. She danced and pranced around happily, thanking the fairy godmother. Oh, it was a lovely sight. Then she would get ready to go to the ball. Well, on her way to the ball, she met some other people. It was the most lovely person there. She met the prince and danced with him. They danced all night through the garden toes, dancing and prancing But then when the clock struck 12, she was so afraid about that she ran away due to the reason that her fairy godmother had said that she would turn back to her normal self by then. She left a slipper behind. She ran and ran to the carriage. The carriage took her back to her house. Oh, it ran away from the house. Later, the prince found the glass slipper. She was so horrified that her fairy godmother had left that, and horrified also about how her mother is now locking her up in the attic. She locked Cinderella up in the attic so she couldn't try out the shoe. Later, a bird caught the key, and later she gave it back to Cinderella. Cinderella was so happy about the key. Her two sisters were bragging and cracking, and then they tried to put the shoe on, but Cinderella was the perfect fit. She fitted perfectly after escaping down all the way down here. The shoe fitted perfectly with sparks. Oh, they were happy, and they later married and lived happily ever after. They went all over. They danced around for a few, and later the carriage brought the newlyweds all the way to the next palace where they lived happily ever after. The end.